Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar, How to Create Buyer Loyalty So They Buy From You. To get the most from today's webinar, we want you to take really good notes. And we want you to use that Q&A panel there to write any questions that you have. We will get those at the end. If you want to reach us at any time after today's webinar, you can reach us on all social media channels at Darryl Speaks. Darryl is the author of 3 books, all published by McGraw-Hill Publishers. That first one you see there, How to Become a Power Agent in Real Estate, is actually one of the best-selling books to real estate agents on Amazon. Darryl was named this year by Riz Media Magazine as one of the top real estate newsmakers in the Big-Hearted and Brave category. SAP. And he is the recipient of the coveted CSP designation by the National Speakers Association, which is given to only less than 2% of speakers worldwide. On that note, Darryl, take it away.
You know, it's funny, Julie, every time you ad-lib just a little bit on that opening, you all of a sudden get tongue-tied.
I do. I mess up
every time. It's funny. You should not ad-lib ever again.
Ever again. Okay, fine. You be the comedian.
All right.
I'll be the straight guy.
Yeah, that's right. You be the straight guy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to this this training that we're doing, how to create buyer loyalty so buyers buy from you. Now, some of you, this is your first time to these weekly webinars that we do. So I want to address the question, the elephant in the room that's always there for people is this webinar a sales pitch? I've attended those where they promise you stuff and you don't get that stuff. And it's just really a waste of time. I promise you that is not the case here. We are going to cover. It's loaded with a lot of content. It's a fire hose today. But I do want to be transparent and explain something to the people that are guests. This webinar is part of a weekly training that we do for our power agents. So some of the people on the call are power agents. Some of you are not. We call you guests. We're so glad that you're here. But the reason why I'm distinguishing that is because from time to time during this training session, I will be having like a sidebar conversation with the power agents, pointing something out to them. So I wanted to say that. Now, if you are a guest, just to get that question out of your head, what is a power agent? I'll just cover that really quick. It's our coaching program. It's a monthly membership. We've locked in a price. People that have been joining during this pandemic time, they've been locking in this lower price. But if you're a guest and you want to become a power agent, you can. At the end of the webinar, it's $5 for 30 days, which is pretty awesome. You can cancel anytime. There's no long-term contracts. You have complete access to everything. Everything I show you today, you'll have access to. So when I have those sidebar conversations with the power agents, you'll be a power agent, so you'll be able to get that stuff. And there's the bonuses. And I will tell you, for the $5 for the trial, these are the bonuses, and they are valued at almost $2,000. And we do that as a huge incentive because it's a no-brainer for you to at least try it, if for no other reason, to get those bonuses because they're really valuable. Okay, so let's get into this topic, how to create buyer loyalty. Now, there's these webinars that I do every week. They're usually one of 2 formats. I'll either go wide, meaning I'll touch a lot of little things, like when I do a seminar on prospecting, like the 10 best ways to prospect. I'm going to give you 10. I don't go deep on any one. Today's webinar, though, I am going deep, right? So we're going to focus just on the buyer. The first time you meet him, it's going to be from A to Z. You know, I'm not going to get into how to negotiate offers. That's another topic that we go deep on. This is that initial contact with the buyers. To give you an outline as to the actual content that I'm going to teach you today, the first thing is I'm going to cover some concepts about working with buyers, because what I've learned in my over 30 years of training agents and helping them be productive is that the concepts in some cases are even more important than the how-tos, because when you have the concept, you can create your own how-tos. So we're going to spend a few minutes on the concepts. Then we're going to go over step by step the first time you meet a buyer, whether it's on the telephone, whether it's in person, what's that process. Then you're going to have a face-to-face conversation with your buyers. Now, I'm going to start teaching just a little bit right now. In real estate, you should have 3 structured conversations. Please jot this down if you're not taking notes yet. You should have a structured conversation beginning, middle, and end when you go on a listing appointment, right? You don't just wing a listing appointment. It's a listing conversation, and you need to bring that homeowner from the initial meeting them to them signing a listing agreement. The second pre-planned conversation is how to negotiate your offers, get your offers accepted, which has become more of a challenge in the crazy market that we've seen. But that's a structured way to present your offer. You don't just email an offer to the listing agent. That's wrong. That's why you're not getting them accepted. The third structured conversation is when you meet the buyer for the first time. And what you want to have happen in that conversation is you want to turn that buyer from a customer to a client, that they hire you as their buyer's agent. That's what we're going to cover today. We're going to spend most of our time on that. And then we are going to cover some tips and techniques on how to show properties. So I'm going to bring you from initial contact to writing the offer. Okay. All right. With that said, power agents, I want to have a sidebar conversation with you really quick. Everything that I'm covering today, you're going to find in two places. On the Power Program website, it's in the buyer tab. And there's some of the things that we're going to be covering that's in the negotiating tab as well. So power agents, I want to make you aware of that. Let's start with the concepts to working with buyers. So the first concept that I want to get into is to find buyers. I'm going to give you some suggestions about finding buyers, because I know some of you watching this, participating, you may be like, I'm a new agent, or I don't have any buyers. So let me give you some tips right out the gate on how to attract buyers. If you don't have any open buyers, doing an open house, and if you don't have any listings, doing it for another agent is an incredible, great strategy in this market. You know, one of our power agents, Debbie, she said, I followed Darryl's marketing suggestion. I did 2 open houses for another agent. I may have picked up 4 new buyers because of it. So doing an open house for some other agent is a powerful technique to attract those buyers. Now, where a lot of agents drop the ball, though, is following up after the open house. Now, in that power agent, Debbie's comment there, you know, she got 4. Some of you, you're going to see like 10, 20 buyers coming to the open house. That's a lot of great leads to be working with, but you've got to follow up. Now, we go through that dialogue. Let's see, are we going to go? We're not going to get into the dialogue today. So let me go into the next part, which is advertiser free. You know what? Let me just back up, because I do want to get into that. I could have sworn that I do. Give me 1 second, because for some reason I thought I did get into that a little bit. So I'm going to do this. Just give me 1 second, gang. Let me just touch upon the dialogue really quick, because I don't want to leave you hanging there with that dialogue. The reason why I'm calling is to thank you for stopping by our open house on this particular date. Step 4, ask questions to determine their commitment. The house, if you remember, was blank. It was at this price, yada, yada. Is that the style or price range that you're looking for? Because there's some new listings that came on the market that are really awesome. Anyway, I know I didn't want to teach the whole dialogue today on following up on the open house. But the point here that I do want to highlight for you is that when you call a buyer for the first time, after an open house, they may not be really ready to buy. If they didn't like that house, they don't want to work with you. They were just curious. They were just like window shopping. They went into the store. They looked at, they don't want to buy. So they may be quick to hang up or not dialogue with you. So what's important in the follow-up is that you have backup listings, you have other things to tease them about. So listen to what I'm saying. The open house was just to create that initial contact, but you've got to have that follow-up to entice them to meet with you. And that follow-up piece could be another listing, other listings coming on the market. It could be the 6-step buying process, which we're going to get into. Okay, let's continue. Advertise a free home buyer's guide. So if you're looking for buyers, one of the things that you can do to attract buyers is do some ads. Now, you can do it on social media. You can do postcards. You can do flyers. Let me give you, for instance, power agents, we wrote this for you. Now, by the way, we have some new power agents. I want to talk to you specifically. Everything that you see, power agents, like this buyer's guide, for example, this is just a screenshot of some of the pages. The whole guide is actually almost 30 pages. You can customize every single page, every line. If you don't like a line or a sentence that we wrote, delete it, put something else. But what's important is you can put your contact information at the bottom. You take credit as if you wrote it. You could advertise this buyer's guide saying, here, oh, I was wrong. It was 35 pages. Get a copy of your 35 plus page buyer's guide to real estate. So you can do a mailing on that postcard. You can run social media ads like this posting here. And this is another way to attract buyers, because any buyer that wants that guide, any person that wants that guide obviously is a buyer. So advertise a free report like that guide. Doing webinars would be another suggestion that you can do. Now, there's a bunch of different ways you can do webinars. You can use Zoom. You can use Facebook Live. I'm not going to get into the technology aspect of how to do that live concept, but think about the topics that you can cover. For example, how to find your dream home in today's market, which I love that title, by the way. How to stop paying rent and become a homeowner. Now, what you can do if you're not the type that likes to speak, right? You're concerned about being a speaker, then you can have guest speakers. You can have a loan officer. You can have a title inspection, home inspector. So you can have 4 guest speakers. They can talk for 15 minutes. That's an hour right there. 4 people, 15 minutes. That's an hour. Whoops. I just dropped my, hang on. Drop my remote. Okay, that's an hour with 4 speakers, right? So if you open it up for 15 minutes, you close it for 15, there's an hour and a half that you can do. And by the way, these could be online, or you can do it, depending, being COVID safe, you could do it in a hotel, do it in your office, the whole 9 yards. Okay. Next thing is, and of course, Julie, my remote's not working. Okay.
Of course.
Of course it is. I just probably broke the remote. Okay, good. So work the 75-25 rule with your buyers, right? What I mean by the 75-25 rule is the concept is, even though we're talking about buyers in this, it's important you remember most top agents, 75% of the money is still coming from listings. So I want you to keep this in mind as you're working your buyers, nurturing buyers. Still, listings are the name of the game. Oh, and this is the dialogue I know I wanted to go over with you, is that if you to get listings, so this is a little extra tip. If you have buyers that are looking in a specific neighborhood, and it's an honest thing, you can call locally in that community and you say, and this is the dialogue basically, say, the reason why I was calling is I have some buyers who've been searching very seriously for a home to buy in your area. As I'm sure you're aware, the number of houses for sale is very low. So I was calling to see if you heard of anybody thinking of selling. No? All right. Well, let me ask you, have you ever thought about selling yourself? So you can use any current list of buyers that you have to start prospecting in a community to generate listing inventory. Power agents, if you go to the prospecting tab of the classroom, you will see a plethora of dialogue. The open house follow-up dialogue, the prospecting in the community. I have a buyer, FSBO's expired. All of the dialogue is there for you. Okay. Oh, one other thing, power agents, is that when you start to make your calls and you start to do this stuff that we're talking about, I want to remind you, you should be on the Monday coaching calls, because that's live and you and I can role play and I can talk to you. I can coach you in a group setting. So I just want to remind the power agents that. Number 3 is don't listen to what buyers want. The reason why you don't want to listen to what buyers want is because what we know is buyers never buy what they say they're going to buy, right? So it's important that we ask that question. Tell me the type of house you're looking for, but what we're going to focus on is the product, the house. Next thing is, don't give out addresses over the phone. We're going to cover this more. This is a concept thing. Darryl, if a buyer calls me and I don't give them the address, if I don't email it to them, they'll just go find another agent. Yes, they will, unless you have a buyer agency agreement. The only time you should be giving out addresses, only time you can be, is when they've hired you, that they're your client. But the problem, listen, gang, you're going to see by the end of this, the problem with you giving out addresses, it's actually making it harder for buyers to decide. You're not helping them, you're hurting them. To give out addresses, you're literally just clerking. What you have to do is think consultative. You're going to help this buyer go from point A to point B in their life. You need to sit down with them. You need to coach them. You need to find out what's important to them. And then you're going to look at those properties. If you give the buyer the choice of buying today or later, they're always going to choose later because they're waiting for that dream house to show up. And when you're giving out addresses, emailing it, You're making it easier for them to be committed to looking and not buying, and that's the big difference. Let's continue. You need to have a right attitude with buyers. Let me tell you what the wrong attitude is. I'm desperate. I need a sale. I'm broke financially. Buyers can sense that desperation. You know why top agents do so well with buyers? Is because this is their attitude. They're like, you know what? I'm fine. I'm fine if you buy or don't buy. I'm not the one homeless. You are. I've got so much business happening right now. My success as a real estate professional is not dependent on you personally buying a house or not. Now, they don't say that, but that's their attitude. And in a softer way, perhaps I'm just being a little comedic with it. The point is that when you're not stressed for money and stressed for business, you give buyers the opportunity to buy versus you trying to sell them. And that's the difference. Top agents, they don't sell buyers. They coach buyers. They help buyers. They empower, watch this, they empower buyers to make a choice. And that's what you need to accomplish with your buyers. I don't need to sell because I have plenty of listings. That's one of the ways to have that right attitude is when you do have inventory, when you do have some listings working for you, you have some things on the books, it helps you actually become more effective with buyers. The next thing is your job is to create urgency and manage the emotional roller coasters that buyers are going to go through. Buyers go through emotional roller coaster. You know this. You know this. And part of your job is to calm things down, is to help lift the fog when people get confused. Number 7, you must establish your value. Choosing you as the best decision they can make as a buyer. Gang, what I want you to do is have a shift mentally for you that it's not about working buyers. It's not about showing houses. It's about securing clients that are called buyers. That's where I want the shift to be for you. I want you to think, not showing, not selling, but securing clients. That's going to be the game changer for you, and I'm going to show you how to do it. When you start talking buyer agency, I'm going to show you how to do this with a buyer. If they won't sign a buyer agency agreement with you, the buyers are telling you in advance, right up front, before you do anything, I ain't committed to you. I'm not guaranteeing all the work you do, you're going to get reimbursed and paid for. That's what they're telling you when they won't sign a buyer agency agreement. If somebody tells you up front, I promise I'm going to not cheat on you, that I'm going to look and work with other agents. I promise you I am not exclusively working with you alone. Why in God's name would you take time away from your family and your business where you can be more productive? And some of you are more committed to your buyers than your buyers are committed to you. We've got to stop this insanity. And again, I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, I'm going to go over, there's a guide we have that has the dialogue for when buyers call in. I'm going to go over it with you now. So this is some bonus stuff here. First thing, introduction. When you meet a buyer, we're just to take it from the phone. You can tweak this. You can tweak this. So don't get hung up. I'm not going to give you this is the problem with scripts because, real estate's fluid. Life's fluid. You can't do scripts. It's called human being, not human doing. But we'll use this dialogue as a structure. So, hi, this is Darryl Davis. Who am I speaking with? And your phone number, please. So let's assume that you get a buyer. You're on the phone with them. There might be some similar if in the texting or even an email. But sticking with the phone concept, they call on your sign. They call on you. Hi, yeah, this is Darryl Davis. Who am I speaking with? And can I get your phone number, please, unless you have the caller ID? They'll tell you what they tell you. Yeah, and how may I help you? And they'll say, I'm calling about Hana Hana. I see you have a house at 1010 Hana Hana Lane. I'd like to get some information. What's the price? This is what I want you to say. Watch this. This is good right here. Yeah. I know the home, of course, is my listing. Can you do me a favor? I've been getting a lot of calls on this property. Can I just put you on hold for a second while I check the status? Now, let me tell you, the status can mean a lot of things. The status is so ambiguous, you're still within integrity. The reason why this is powerful, because here's what happens. Listen to me. Buyer, okay, I don't have time to teach this because I have so much to give you today, but I have to say what I'm about to tell you. When a buyer asks you, how long has this house been on the market? Why do you think they're asking that? I'm going to tell you what you would tell me if I was sitting in front of you right now. You would say, well, Darryl, they ask how long it's been on the market because if it's been on the market a long time, maybe they can get a better deal. And I'm telling you, that's not why they ask. The reason why a buyer asks you, how long has this house been on the market? Because if it's been on for a long time, given market conditions, then that must mean there's something wrong with the house. That must mean that most of the people in the world don't like it. Otherwise, it would have sold by now. And if people don't like this house, well, then if it's my house, then people won't like my house. That's why they ask that question. Let me tell you something. Buyers want what other buyers want. Powerful, what I'm giving you right now. Buyers want what other buyers want. Have you ever gone to a garage sale before the pandemic and you have to wait online in an estate sale? What happens by the time you get into the front door? Like if there were people in front of you and they're buying, you'll start picking up stuff at a garage sale, like an ashtray. You don't need it, but you don't want anybody else to have it. So you start grabbing things to say, this is mine, get away. That's what, same thing happens in real estate. That's what's been happening in the past almost 2 years now with this crazy market. So when you tell a buyer, when they call you and they say, I'm calling about 1010 Hana Lane, you say, hold on a second. This might not even be available for you. Let me check the status of it. You don't say it quite that way, but that's the feeling you're putting out there. So when you tell them, hang on a second, let me check the status of it, all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Maybe it's not available? Is that what's going on? Oh my God, I hope it is. Let's continue. This is good stuff. Okay, next part. Mr. Midhana, thanks for holding. Yeah, that house is still available. Can I ask you, are you looking for yourself or someone else? Now, at this point, you're going to go back and forth with the buyer, like a ping pong, right? You're gonna ask questions. So, what price range are you in? They can tell you. Have you looked? Blah, blah, blah. So, you're going these questions. I'm not going to break each one down. You know how to ask questions. I mean, we got some really good questions here, like how much money you're working with. I do want to point out one thing, though. Number 10, right? Are you working with another agent? It's really important you ask that question later, not sooner. The reason why you want to ask it towards the end of this section is because if I come off hold and say, hey, Mr. Hanana, the house is still available. Let me ask you something. Are you working with another agent? If that was my first question, they know I'm asking it. They're going to lie or not be truthful. So if you make it almost like you're asking questions, how many houses have you seen? Oh, that's great. How long you been? Oh, where are you coming from? Oh, great. Hey, by the way, you're working with another agent. When you throw it in like that, you're going to get a more honest answer. And of course, asking for the email address at the end as well. Now, at some point, they're going to interrupt you. They're going to say, they may not interrupt you. You may be done with your questions. And I just want to go back. Let me be clear with you. What we're asking questions here is to qualify how committed these people are, right? How serious they are, how long they've been looking, are they ready to buy now or later? Okay. So after you're qualifying them, and we're qualifying motivation, now you're going to talk about the house. They called about the house. They want to know some information, and it's called fair exchange. And here's how fair exchange works. When they ask you a question, you give them an answer. But that gives you permission to follow up with your own question, and they answer you. And it goes back and forth like a tennis thing. So what can I tell you about the house, Mr. Hana? Well, I see it has 4 bedrooms. Are they all upstairs? Yes, actually, these are all upstairs bedrooms. Is this the number of bedrooms you're looking for? Yes, because I got 3 kids. Oh, okay, great. What else would you like to know? You see, that's it. It's a conversation, but it's back and forth, give and take. Now, at some point, this house is going to work for them or it's not. So let me share with you what to do and how to schedule that appointment. You'll notice in all of our training, we don't use the word close. And the reason why is because people don't like to be closed. You don't like to be closed. Do you like to be closed? I don't like to be closed. So why would we have that in our language, in our training? So here at Power Headquarters, we use the word invite action. And the reason why we use that is because we're inviting people to take action based on their commitment, whatever it is. So if I'm talking to a buyer, if they're committed to buying a house, the we're inviting them to take action based on their commitment to buying a house. The best thing they can do is meet with me so I can give them the best possible advice to help them get that house. Same thing when I'm on a listing appointment. I don't close people. I invite them to take action. If they're committed to selling their house and moving to their next level, the appropriate action based on their commitment to moving is to hire me to help them do all the marketing and to get them to where they want to go. So we're going to invite action now with these buyers. I'm going to confirm that the house works for them. It doesn't work. Ms. Hanahan, it sounds like this house doesn't really work for you, but let me ask you this. Next thing, you are serious about buying a home, yes? Yes, we are. You know, we're definitely committed. Okay, great. Well, let me tell you a little bit about my company. It's a good thing that you actually called today because in this challenging market, my company has really found a great system to help buyers find a house and win houses in this crazy real estate market that we find. And it's called the 6-step buying process. It's really designed to help you and your wife that you mentioned to get you that house. So here's what I like to do. I like to find the time when I can meet with you and your wife and I can share with you and go over this 6-step buying process. And in that meeting, I'd also like to, when we're done, is actually show you some properties because I like to select the houses with you and then we can go take a look at it. Then we schedule the appointment. Say, by the way, have you been pre-qualified? If you haven't, I encourage you to do that before we meet. Here's a lender. You should give them a call, but it's really important you do that in this market, and here's why. So, gang, that is basically the telephone call in a nutshell. Let me now jump to when they do come into the office, or if you do it virtually on a Zoom meeting, but it's the face-to-face meeting. And this is where we're going to share and go over the 6-step buying process. One of our power agents, Tom Baxter from Reese Nichols in Kansas, I get more organized, learn how to identify serious buyers, and went from 25 closed deals to 60 in 12 months, which is pretty darn good, right? So I'm going to show you what Tom, one of our power agents, learned. Before I do the actual 6-step process, I have some extra content I want to give everybody. I created this weekend because Julie and I were talking about some agents are not getting how important it is that they have buyers sign that agency agreement. So I want to distinguish for you guys that there is a difference between customers and clients. So you'll see there on the definition, a customer is somebody who pays for a product with immediate money. It's an immediate money transaction. So for example, when you buy a car or you go to the grocery store, clothing, furniture store, gasoline you're pumping, even Netflix or going to a live show. I just saw Hamilton, New York City. Yay. When you go to the movies, all of those things, we're customers. We're paying for something and we're getting something in return. It's very transactional. It's very at the moment. That's a customer. Now, a client is different. A client is a personalized, highly professional service. This business relationship has clearly defined responsibilities. So, for example, an attorney, they don't work with customers. They have clients. Accountants have clients. Insurance agents, graphic, financial planners, and real estate professionals. Now, here's the part that I want to distinguish for you. You see, let's look at listings. That's clear, right? When you go on a listing appointment, are they a customer or a client? Then nothing. When you go on a listing appointment, then they'll lead. That's about it. Once they hire you, what are they? They're now a client. When a FSBO hires you, a homeowner hires you, they're a client. You work for them. A buyer comes into your store like any other store. You want to go into a car dealership, you go into a grocery store. When you walk into the store, you're a customer. Every buyer who comes to you is a customer. What you need to do is make them a client. And how they become a client is they hire you by signing a buyer agency agreement. Let me just really nail this for you. I created this over here, customer client, same definition, but let's actually break down how they're different. Fiduciary responsibility. When they're a customer, your fiduciary responsibility is to your company and to the transaction, to the sale. But when they're a client, your fiduciary responsibility is to the client, not to the money, not to the commission, not to the sale. Client is primary. When it comes to a written agreement, customers, you don't need that, but with a client, you do. That's your buyer agency agreement. What a company offers. What you offer when you're talking to a customer, you're offering a product or service. But when they become a client, it's service, baby. It's service, baby. You provide service to clients. Let me show you those. Sales, your focus, Sales professional focus. When it's a customer, it's on selling, but when it's a client, it's on serving. It's about serving the client, not making a sale. Length of relationship, it's one-off. When I go to my grocery store, that relationship with that store is done when I left with my bags of food until I come back again. But with a client, no, man, that's ongoing. See, I'm a client for my attorney, my accountants. That's an ongoing relationship. When people hire you as a client, they're your client. There's a relationship. Personal attention is less required, highly required with a client. See, some of you are treating buyers like they're a client, but they didn't hire you as a client. Whoa, that's some crazy stuff. So I just saw somebody ask, you going to get a copy of these slides? Yes, Power Agents, we created actual flyers for you that you can customize, put your stuff on there, and you can use this in your meetings with your buyers to distinguish. I don't care which one you use both. This is a new thing I created for the Power Agents. It's in the buyer tab of the Power Program website. Let's continue this. And by the way, Power Agents, you gotta get a copy of the slides. Guests on the call, I'll tell you you can get all this, the copies of the slides and everything at the end. Let me finish teaching. Okay, now, so the buyer comes to you. Let's pretend they come to you. One of the things you want to do is break the ice, do a little nice, build rapport, connect with people. We're in a people business. So give them some, like home buying checklist. These are things that we create. Guests, these are things that we give our Power Agents. It's already designed. They can customize it, but you might find something. Your company might have some gifts that you can give a buyer. There's a loan application checklist that we give the Power Agent. When a buyer comes, you say, here, I want to give you a pile of gifts. You print out 2, 3 of these, say, here's even a folder, stick it in a folder, nice, with a brochure about you. Say, it's so nice to meet you. I have a couple of gifts here I want to give you. Here's a list of mistakes you want to avoid when you're buying a house. Now, they haven't hired me yet as a client, by the way. So I'm giving gifts to these buyers. This one is one of my favorites. Oh, this is the old version of it, Julie. Gosh, I just realized it. Darn it. So anyway, we created, I'll show you the updated version. The updated version is so much nicer. So here's what this is, gang. This was our 101 version of the 8 ways that a kid can get excited about moving. So it's a guide that you give to your buyers if they have children. And the reason why we created this guide and we even improved on it is because a lot of people don't tune into this, but for children, moving, even at the youngest age, it's very traumatic. We don't recognize it because they don't articulate it because they haven't mastered language yet. But there is something that can be traumatic for children. So what we did is, with some research, we created this little thing to make it a game for children to lessen the trauma of it. And so for you to give this to a buyer that has children is also a great way to win them over. There's also a 1-page version of it, a moving checklist for children. We have a passion here for kids here at Power Headquarters. There's a new homeowner checklist. So these are all little gifts that you can give a buyer, the first-time home buyer. And there's where you would, Power Agents, where you would put your logo, your photo, and you take ownership. We get this question all the time for Power Agents. Can I, copy this? This is all you, Power. We want you to use it like you wrote it. All right. So this is part of being a Power Agent. Power Agents, where you'll find that if you go to the classroom and you go to buyers, everything that I just flipped through, all those, they're in that tab. So it's very easy to download it. Now, let's talk about the 6-step buying process. When you're sitting with the buyer, so you broke the ice, you gave them these gifts, here is the 6-step buying process. The first thing, and I'm going to demonstrate, this is what I would say to buyer, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, before we get started, let me just share with you a 6-step, let me share with you the 6-step buying process. This is a process that's designed to help you find the right house in this crazy market with the least amount of aggravation. The first thing I want to do with you, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, is I want to inform you a little bit about myself. The reason why I want to do that, this is an important decision, and I want you to feel comfortable hiring me. As a matter of fact, if you don't, please tell me. I'd be more than happy to get another agent for you. Does that sound fair? They say yes. Step 2 is assuming I pass the job interview, then I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. The reason why I want to do that is to get a better picture in my mind, the type of house you're looking for. So is it okay later on that I ask you these questions? No, it's fine, Darryl. Very good. Step 3 is then what we're going to do is based on what you tell me, we're going to look at the houses that you want to see. As a matter of fact, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, I'm going to show you everything that's on the market through the MLS, our in-house inventory, and together we'll choose what you want to see. And the reason why I do that, assuming we find the right house today, I don't want you to procrastinate wondering, is there something better out there for you, because you'd already be familiar with everything. Does that make sense? Great. By the way, what did I just tell them? We're going to buy a house today. Then what we're going to do, Mr. and Ms. Hana, we're going to go physically look at the houses. Now, when I take my clients to a house, I don't bring anything with me like the taxes, the info sheet, the data. The reason why is because I find that's more of a distraction. What we're looking for when we first walk into that door, into that house, is it talking to your heart? Does it feel like it could be home? That's what we're looking for, is that feeling. Now, assuming that we have a house talk to your heart, we'll come back to the office. We'll do the ongoing paperwork that I can answer the questions, and then we can put an offer together that works for you and fair to the seller. And of course, number 6 is I just want you to know, as my client, I'm committed to ongoing service. Do you have any questions, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, about the 6-step buying process? They say no. Sounds good. Now I'm going to start step 1. Now, step 1, I said, is inform, right? So I was going to say power agents and guests. What you want to do is in this section is you want to validate, have 3 sections. And I suggest that you have a visual. I don't have anything here as a book. You have a visual here. You have a visual book of some kind, 3-ring binder. Now you can do a slideshow. I'm not, it'll be too formal in my opinion. I like paper. I like flipping around. So you want to talk about your certificates, awards, credentials, any education, the fact that you're a power agent. Power agents, you got to push that, because less than 1% in the country are power agents. So that's a good thing to elevate your conversation. Then you want to talk about your company. And with your company, you want to talk about the mission statement of the company. Get them to know the company a little bit, that a little bit of trust. Of all the agencies, why did you choose this broker? And talk about the market share of the company. And the last thing is you want to give them an update what's happened in the market. Do not take for granted that buyers know how crazy the market is. Now, there's a lot of places that you can go for information about the market, but what I want you to do is real estate's local. It's not national. So I want you to share local stuff, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. Now, power agents, I want you to know in that buyer tab, there is a whole PowerPoint slide deck, a PowerPoint that you can customize and then either use it on your laptop or print it out, like I said, in paper format. I'm going to show you some of the pages now. So in the step 1 is I'm actually going to show them, let me help you in finding your new shelter in home if we ever have to do that again, God forbid. So there's a little bit about me. This is where you're, by the way, power agents, I want to show you something. Give me a second here. I just, this is some of the slides from that file. Do you see what I'm about to do? Look what I just did. And you see there, let me change my name to Julie. So my point here is, power agents, you can customize these slides to use on a listing appointment. A buyer appointment, sorry. So you're going to talk a little bit about you. You're going to talk about some of your sales. If you've had success there, it depends on how experienced you are. You can skip that section. You might have testimonials. The best thing to do is have screenshots or letters and put it right there. And when I say screenshots, if you've had people on Facebook or social media, so doing screenshots, and it may not fit on one page. So you may have a couple of pages of your testimonials, your certificates, your whatever that might be, if you're a GRI, a power agent, etc. Now, you talk about your broker here. So have some bullet points about your broker, how long they've been in business. If you've got more than one, you've got several people on the leadership team, talk about that. Talk about the offices if you have more than one. And now the market. So those are the 3 sections. There's a section about you, there's a section about your company, and then the 3rd section is about what's happening in the market. Now, I'm going to give you a suggestion on the market, which, by the way, power agents on the website under the buyer tab, we just are finishing up the 2022 predictions. Now, the 2022 predictions, you can also use that with your buyers, and that'll be in the buyer tab for you. But I said also local. You want to stay local. And so do some MLS stats about what's happening. Property values going up. What's the average days on market? And I'm going to tell you, listen, make a note of this if you miss what I just said. This is important. If your average days on market is hot like it is in most parts of the country, make sure you share that with the buyers. If, let's say, the average days on market is 14 days, and when you start showing your buyers houses, you should be telling, by the way, this house, remember I said the average days on market 14, this one's been on the market 12. So just FYI. It creates a sense of urgency. Here's something to also talk about with buyers is the mortgage interest rates. What we've seen is over the past year, they've been coming down. But now it seems like they hit a floor and they're starting to perhaps inch up. So this also will help motivate the buyers. Don't wait any longer to buy because you may hurt you. Because if, let's say, interest rates go up, here's an example. If, let's say, I just start off with 3%, at $350 is the mortgage, that's the payment. It doesn't matter if it's 2% or just stick with the concept. If it goes up just 1%, watch what happens. 1%, you're going to lose $25,000 in buying power, and your mortgage payment still goes up over $100 or about $100. If it goes up another percent, now you're 50 grand down and another 100 and et cetera, et cetera. So the reason why you're sharing this with the buyer when you first meet them is you want to get them a little motivated to buy now so they don't miss out. I love this slide, and power agents, you should also share this with your buyers. Warren Buffett, who made his billions from the stock market, he even says, I would buy up a couple of 100,000 single family homes if held for a long period of time. Personal houses are even better than stocks. My gosh, this guy is a billionaire from the stock market, and he's saying real estate is still better. So I think this is good, especially if you're talking to somebody as a first-time buyer and they haven't bought yet. If they have children, power agents, I want you to use this with your buyers and show them, listen, in this when it comes to your children, if you're renting, there was a study done by Duke University and Fannie Mae and Habitat for Humanity. They found that kids that live in a home that's owned versus a rental has less behavioral problems. Their English grades are better by 7%. Their math grades are better by 9%. They have 25% higher graduation rate than kids who are in rentals. Overall health is dramatically improved, and they're more likely to go to college by 115%. So here's my point, Mr. and Mrs. Hana. You know, I'm so excited that you guys are here and you're making the commitment to move from a rental to a home, because even, you know, between you and I, even any home is better than no home at this point in your life because you got the little one. So I'm really excited to help you on this journey. That's something that I would say to the buyers. Now, let's talk about getting these buyers to hire you as their buyer's agent. As a buyer's agent, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, here are some of the exclusive tools that I can do for you. And what you will do at this point, gang, is you'll go through some value-added things as to why they should hire you as their agent. I'm going to give you some examples. One of the tools, Mr. and Ms. Buyer, we have is the RPR. What's incredible about this, and you explain the RPR tool, which is free to realtors, and how powerful it is, and you use this with your clients. You can give your clients 3D virtual tours. You go the extra yard. If you have to, you'll do a tour and they can stay at home and you'll show them some properties. You can provide them with floor plans and measurements. You can do digital signatures with your clients. We can even notarize virtually, so you don't even have to show up if that is the case, if you ever find. These are things that I do, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, when you hire me as your agent. See, this is real estate in a nutshell. I'm sorry, let me go back to that. There's so much more to the process in finding a house and getting it moved into it. It's not just looking at houses. Once we do that, we've got all these other steps. And gang, you can go through this whole board with your buyers to show them, I am holding your hand every step of the way when you hire me as your rep, as your agent. When you are my client, my job is to bring you from start to finish in this whole process. We even have an online software, Mr. and Ms. Hahn, where you can check in on the transaction and where we are in the steps and what is needed now. So that, again, as my client, I will hold your hand through the whole process. And these are tools that I'm very proud of. As a matter of fact, here's what I can tell you to save you. And what you can do, gang, is you can actually put a dollar volume on a dollar amount on all of the strategies or things that you do for your buyers. This is something we created for Power Agents. You know, being a neighborhood resource of trends and school districts, research all the active homes to find the best properties for you. Like if you were to put a dollar volume on all of the work that you do for a buyer, what would it be? This is something you can custom. Like we didn't put this number because markets are different, incomes are different, So you take this and fill it out and say, how much is that worth when you do this for a buyer? When you're researching for them, what would number? And then total it up. Now, what'll happen is whatever you come up with, that number is going to be much more than the commission that you get as a buyer's agent. So this is the part that I love. Here it comes. Mr. and Mrs. Hanahana, as your buyer's agent, here's what I'll do for you. I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. But let me tell you, this is the best part. You need to tell them, gang, not just what you do for them. This is where you're going to get them to sign an agency with you. I'm sorry, not yet. That's the next slide. There's also one of the things that we did is we created the 40 things that you can do as a buyer's agent. So let me go back. What you can do is you can have a simple flyer and you show the buyers, listen, I'm going to do all these things for you as when you hire me. Or you can even go deeper. You can say, here's the 40 things that I'll do for you. This is what I promise. So you can do a combination. You can do one or the other. But this is the part what I definitely want you to do. I want you to show them. Do you see this? It says, as a seller's agent, my fiduciary responsibility is to the home seller. Therefore, I cannot advise you on the offer you should make when you find a home. That's the first bullet. Second bullet. After writing the offer, I will not negotiate the best price for you, but instead for the seller. The third bullet. Therefore, I cannot represent your best interest. My responsibility is to represent the seller's best interest. This is telling a buyer, if you don't hire me to represent you, I am then pseudo facto representing the seller, and I have to legally represent them, that you paid the most money for the house, that I look out for their best interest. This is powerful. You need to show people not just the value that they get in hiring you as the agent, but what they're going to lose if they don't hire you as their buyer's agent. Now, Power Agents, everything I just showed you, again, if you go to Classroom and you go to that buyer tab, this whole topic is in there, all these forms, which you can customize and edit. Now, I'm not going to go through this because we don't have the time. We only got 12 minutes left. This over here, what I did, Power Agents, is I got buyer agency agreements from all different states, from other Power Agents. They said, tell me the ones you like. And the ones that I liked, I put in the slide deck here and I highlighted, I like this paragraph. You see that? And so let me give you here's another one. I like that paragraph. So Power Agents, you're going to just get these samples. Now, your board probably has a buyer agency agreement that you can use. Your company might have one for you. But here's the bottom line is you can make your own as well. So if you see something in this plethora of slides that I gave, you can cut and paste and say, oh, I like this paragraph. I'm going to add that, or I like the way that's worded. So you can literally design your own to really customize it, okay? So those are all the sample buyer agency agreements. But the real kicker here, there's a lot. There's a lot. The real kicker, I'm going to hit escape because I just want to show you this. I want you to really wrap your brain around what I just said. The most important thing to help get a buyer to sign an agency with you is you need to show them what you can't do for them if they don't hire you. That's the real kicker. So they have a decision to now make. Am I going to work with you, Mr. Agent? where you looking out for my best interest, my back, where I'm your client, or am I going to be just a customer, where your commitment is to the seller and to the sale and not to me? That's the decision. And I'm telling you, ladies and gents, if you make that clear, which is a fair distinction, they're going to hire you most of the time. Now, here's my favorite part. When they hire you, you're going to now give them this. You're going to say, Mr. and Mrs. Hana. Wait, before I show this to you, let me bet. Mr. and Mrs. Hana, now, now that you're my client, we can play full out. So that means from time to time, you may be on one weekend, you may see an open house, you may see something, I'm not available. You can now go look at any house you want. When you do that, let me give you this, and then you give them this. It's a certificate. When you walk into an open house, let's say it's being held by an agent, give them this with my contact information on it. So that way, if they have any questions, they can reach out to me. But this way, you're letting them know that you've got representation. So here you go. This is for you. Now, what I love about this, it's kind of like every time they give this to somebody, they're actually getting more committed to you, because the action of it's like if you're married and you're at a bar and somebody started talking to you, go, no, don't talk to me. I'm married. So it's kind of like that. I love it. So that's for you. Okay. So the 6-step buying process, you inform them, you ask the questions. So go back. When you inform and you do step 1 with them, it's at that point they're going to hire you as their agent or not. Now, if they don't hire you or they do hire you, you're going to ask the questions about where you folks looking for. You know the questions to ask. That's simple. So that's what we ask buyers. Some of the questions you ask on the phone, so you're just reiterating it. Step 3, now we're going to select the houses that we're going to go look at. Now, it's important that they be part of the buying process. So what you want to do, however you want to do that on the computer screen, pick together. That will help you in them making a decision easier, because you know when they say, well, maybe there's something better out there. If you make them part of the selection process, that goes away. The shiny penny concept is really not relevant today, but in some markets it might be. The shiny penny concept is simply this. If you do have it where it's not such a hot seller's market, where it's a fair market, there may be, let's say 10 houses. Of those 10, there may be 1 or 2 that's better than the rest. That's the shiny penny. And the concept is that's the next house that's going to sell. So you want to focus and drive people to the shiny penny. The other ones are just a waste of time. So, okay, so you got to inform, ask the question, select the houses together. You're going to go show the properties. Let me give you some tips on that. This is a live scenario, meaning that you're not doing virtual tours. You know, last year that was a big thing that we were all doing. We're doing that less now. So let me give you some tips on showing the property. Sorry, where am I? First one. Listen, this is a side tip. So you're not just doing this with this buyer. This is like if you want to sell a house this weekend, I'm going to tell you how to do it right now. Okay. Remember I said shiny penny. Let's say there's a house that thing is going to pop. It's going to sell, right? What I want you to do is you ask the listing agent, if it's not yours, hey, listen, do you mind if I have some buyers I want to bring by? Do you mind if I can just have an open appointment? Because I'm going to probably show it to 2, maybe even 3. Can I carve out a slot on Saturday between 1 and 2 or 1 and 2:30, whatever you ask for? They'll say, sure, fine. Okay, great. Now, here's what you do. You call 3 of your buyers and you say, hey, Mary, you still looking for a house? I mean, listen, this house just came on the market. This is really hot. And I think it's not going to last the weekend. You need to come out and see this. What I did is I asked the agent if I can do my own little mini open house, because that's kind of what you're doing. You didn't ask the agent, you didn't say mini open house, but you're going to say it to the buyer. And you say, so listen, I have my top clients, you being one of them. I want to come see this house. There's going to be some other buyers there, but if you can meet me at the house at 1 o'clock, we've just got a little slot here, about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, because you want that extra time to be with me. Anyway, here's my point. If you invite 2 or 3 buyers to that house, and you do your own little mini open house, you're going to sell that house. Because what did I say at the beginning of this webinar? What do buyers want when they ask how long has it been on the market? Buyers want what buyers want, other buyers want. So by you doing this, you're creating a sense of urgency. You're going to write on that house. I'm telling you. Happens all the time. Here's the next thing. Take the scenic route first. If you're using your phone or give them a tour of the neighborhood. The point is, You don't, if let's say you've got a house and it's next to a dump, a recycling plant or something, you have to show that to them. But don't let that be the first impression. So take the scenic route first, show the property, then point out the challenge, right? Next thing is lower their expectations. Don't tell a buyer, oh, you're going to love this house. You want to do the opposite. If it's a beautiful house, say, oh, the house needs a little elbow grease. If it needs elbow grease, say, yeah, this house is really rough around the edges. Like, in other words, make it worse, because when you walk in, this is what you want to hear. Oh, it's not that bad. Next one is park across the street. Don't park in the driveway in front of the house. It's too in the buyer's face. You're going to see it. When you park across the street, they're going to come out of the car and they're going to soak it up as they walk across the street, okay? Now, don't do this if it's on a main road, because somebody could get hurt and then you have a lawsuit. Next thing is, take only a pad and pen with you. Remember what I said earlier? Don't take the MLS stat sheet. How big is the property? Yeah, oh, it's 52 by 100. Look at how big is it? Look at the backyard. Is it big enough? Don't get lost in the technical things, because the map is not the territory. The numbers is not the house. You want to get people out of their head, not in the numbers. Do you like the house or don't you? What do we care? How big is the property? Okay. Don't tell them the price until after you show it. Every house that you're showing them is in their price range. Why? Because they were part of the selection process. So what you want to do, don't pull up the house and say, now this house is $599. Like, don't stick a number in their head, right? Listen, they ask you, how much is this? I don't know. I didn't bring anything with me, but it's in the price range. Let's just go see. Do you like it? Don't worry about numbers, taxes, nothing. We got 3 houses. Let's go see which one talks to your heart. That's important. Let's do that first. This is how you want to manage the showings. Continue here. Take only a pad and pen with you. We already said that. Show their favorite feature last. If they really love that backyard, have that be the last thing that they see, or the finished basement. Watch for buying signals. You know what? Don't walk in front of them, because you're blocking. I got a big butt. I'd be blocking the room. So let them walk in the room first. You pay attention. You don't need to say, this is the kitchen. They know it's a kitchen. There's a sink in it for Christ. There's a big refrigerator. You don't need to say that. Just listen. Pay attention. Focus on the monthly payments, not just the price. You don't need to tell, when you do talk price, you tell them, it's $599, but the payments come out to be bada bing. Because people think payments. They're paying rent. They're paying their current mortgage. That's how people are buying. That's what you want to focus on. Show their favorite house the second time. If you show 3 or 4 or 5 houses and they love house number 3, you got to bring them to house number 4 and 5, even if they don't want to. Just do it, because if they hate 4 and 5, it's going to help number 3 more so. So if you can, you call the listing agent or knock on the door. That's what I would do. I was here, Mrs. Hannah. I was just here 30 minutes. I showed them. They really loved the house. Do you mind if I bring him back one more time? Is that okay? Or should I call your agent? I'll wait. No, come in, Darryl. And that's the 6-step buying process. Now, the paperwork and the ongoing service, that's the negotiating the offer. Power agents, if you go to webinars on demand, you will see I did a webinar training on just now, once they find the house that they like. How do you write the offer? How do you get the offer accepted? Especially in multiple offer situations. So here's what we said today. You want to motivate buyers to buy. That is one of the key things that you want to do. Use the 6-step buying process, because that controls the whole viewing thing and you're taking control of the relationship. Super validate yourself during that buyer interview, because they need to hire you as a buyer's agent. Convert them from a customer to a client. That's a powerful distinction. That's what I want you to be committed to. And for the guests, you got one other extra thing. I invite you to become a power agent, because you're going to get a bunch of bonuses. And I will actually share that with you now. Let me talk to the guests for a minute, and then we're going to open it up to coaching questions. So if you are a guest today, I'm going to encourage you to, for $5, to become a power agent. And the reason why is that you can cancel anytime. You're not locked in. You're going to have complete access to the entire site. Most importantly, you're going to get the bonuses. Now, the bonuses I'm going to go through in just a minute, more detail. Part of the program, though, just to give you a bird's eye view, every Monday we have real. When I say real, I can talk to you. I think right now I'm talking into the camera. I'm hoping I'm teaching you. But on the coaching calls are really powerful because this is where you and I can have a dialogue. You can ask a question. I coach you. We record it. You can listen to it later. One of our power agents, Brenda, said, I look forward to the calls every week. It sets the tone. That's what our power agents tell us. They love the Monday calls because it sets the tone and it motivates them. We have webinars on demand. Now, this recording is going to be posted in the Facebook closed group, not the Facebook, I'm sorry, the Power Program website portal. So power agents can watch it over and over again, slow it down, listen to the dialogue. We do have a closed Facebook group for power agents as well. I think it's the best group on Facebook because there's no negativity, there's no advertising. It's just brainstorming and helping fellow power agents. I got to tell you, listen, guests and power agents on the call, do me a favor, tell the other the non-power the guests what you think about the program, because the power agent website is off the hook awesome. There is over 600 forms, flyers, checklists that you can use in your business and to help bring it to the next level. Let me just give you a couple of screenshots of it. There's when you go to the classroom and let's say you need help on a topic, like today was buyers. Prospecting, the listing appointment. But let's pretend that you needed help with farming and self-promotion. If you click on that, there's hundreds of forms and flyers and checklists that you can customize and mail out, use on appointments, etc. You can favorite items, so that way you can take those 600 items and you want to create your own little folder of items that is your favorite. You can tag those so you can look at them later and customize it. We have a similar technology that Google uses. So if let's say you type in the word, help me with everything on the site that is a FSBO related item, you type in FSBO and there's all the social media graphics or training or video or the dialogue, etc. for the FSBO. Denise, one of our power agents, said, Darryl delivers on everything he promotes. I've been a power agent for a week and I'm already a better agent. I love the guidance and resource available. And thank you, Denise, for saying that. Gang, here are all of the gifts that you get as a power agent. That first item there in the upper left-hand corner is the listing appointment. Julie, are we okay?
We are.
Okay, good, because I heard you come off, so I want to make sure everything's all right. That first thing on the side there, it says the virtual listing appointment. It's a PowerPoint presentation. You get every bonus here you're getting to keep. The second one is a recording of how to do the listing appointment. The third one is the breakthrough business plan. It's 43 pages to get you ready for 2022. All of these items you get to keep. There's a new agent starter kit. If you're a new agent or experienced agent, you need to restart your business. Our 12 most requested dialogues. 184 things that you do to earn your commission. Power agents say they love this on a listing appointment. It helps validate their commission. Those two bottom ones, do you see on the screen? It says multiple offer e-guide, and then there's an Excel spreadsheet. In this multiple offer situation, that's a powerful thing. You give that to your buyers. You give it to your sellers to help them. Plus, you get these other bonuses, the slides, a copy of the recording, and it's only $5 for today. So if you want to become a power agent, you can just click on that floating thing that just popped up. But in the meantime, I want to stop talking and start coaching. So for those of you that have questions, whether you're a power agent or not, please type it in the Q&A. Julie's going to read it for you, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. So Julie, it's all you now.
Okay, well, buckle up. We got a lot of questions. Meanwhile, while I get started on these questions, if you've learned something today, if you've picked up something valuable, put that in the Q&A as well. We'd love to hear it.
Wait, Julie, let's because I forgot to ask the group that. I just want everybody to hear what Julie said. Please share with us too. If you don't have a question and you're a power agent or not a power agent, if there's one thing that you got out of today that you really like, that you think is going to help you, that you can use, can you put that in the chat? Because it really helps us to know what was valuable. It's almost like a survey, but share with other people too, and you're helping people. So please tell us, what did you learn today that really helped you?
It's a great way to affirm it too, right?
Yep, and it helps you affirm it too. It's almost like declaring, you know what, I love this, I'm going to use this. So it's actually valuable for you personally to do that now. With that said, we're going to focus on the questions. So Julie, what do we got?
All right, Jose asks, my sellers always say, yes, sir, no, I will put my house on the market, but where am I going to go? There's no inventory. So what can I buy on top of the houses that are very expensive? This comes up on our coaching calls every week almost, right?
Yeah, Jose. So what you do, man, is this is the only market, and I've been doing this business for over 30 years, and this is the first time I've said it in the past 2 years. In this market, yes, a seller needs to find the house first before they sell, before they even put their house on the market. There's no worries that the worry has always been that if you find something that you want to buy, that you may not be able to sell your house in time. That's not an issue in this market. A seller who puts their house on the market, it's going to sell like that. The problem is finding the house to move to. So in this market, we have to switch it. You do have to help a seller find their home first and then sell their house quick. Next question.
Jean asks, how do I get started? That little button there.
Yeah, just click on that button, that floating button, how to start my trial. Click there. That'll get you going. All right.
Perfect. How enforceable is the buyer agency agreement?
Very enforceable. It's so enforceable that if, let's say, a buyer tries to not pay you, they buy a house without you, you'll know. You could put a mechanics lien on that house, which would prevent the house from closing until you get satisfied or until the legal process works itself out. So you can stop the buyer's contract that they're buying without you. That's how enforceable it is. Next question.
Marl asks, how do you respond to how long has it been on the market? They heard that's a thing, but they didn't hear how you should respond.
Oh, yeah. So when they ask you, I didn't give them that answer, though. So when they ask you how long it's been on the market, don't hem and haw. Just tell them. Sometimes when you hem and haw, you apologize, you created a problem. That's a mistake agents make. So let's say your average days on market is 30, and this house has been on the market 60, and they ask you how long it's been on the market. It's been, I think, 60 days. Let me just check. Yep, 60 days.
There you go.
That's it. Next question.
I love it. Where was the customer client flyer in the site?
Everything. Okay. So Power Agents, when you log into the classroom, into the website, and you go to Classroom, then you click on Buyers. When you click on Buyers, everything that I showed you today is in there. And more. There's so much stuff in here. There's the 6-step buying process, the 7 reasons to buy a home before the end of the year. There's the multiple offers. There is the here's what I won't do for you if you don't hire me as your agent. There is the
committed to children. We had people ask where to get the children's stats.
There's the children's stats, the flyer right there, committed to children, avoid the most common mistake buyer. Everything that I showed you today, gang, is in the buyer tab. And let me see, there's actually some other really cool stuff in here as well. So everybody go there. The Loanopoly is there for you. The new things that I gave you is there. There's something else I wanted to tell you. The 40 things I do for you as a buyer's agent. There's that certificate you give the buyers saying, all right, now that I hired. So it's all there, gang, in the buyers tab. Next question.
I love it. I'm married. Denise says, if they're not yet pre-approved, should we take buyers out to see homes?
Denise, a great question. A lot of agents would say, absolutely not. You have to have them pre-qualified. So here's what I'll tell you. My style and some other really successful agents in this market are the same way. And I think we're the exception. If I have a buyer that has some cash and they are really committed, I'll still take them out even if they haven't gotten their pre-approval or pre-commitment. The reason why is because if they find a house that they like, they'll figure out the money somehow. And I've never wasted time with the buyers, even if they weren't pre-approved. Now, with that said, here's the other side of that conversation. If they do like a house, they want to put an offer in, they don't have that pre-commitment letter, you providing an offer to the seller without that pre-commitment letter weakens the offer. So, maybe you can do both, right? You can start working with them before they're pre-qualified, but get that letter as soon as possible. So that way, when they do find a house that they like and they pull the trigger, then by then you do have the letter to include with the offer. Next question.
Andrew is not a power agent, wants to become one today. What is the cost? Can you go say that again?
Yeah. So the cost to become a power agent today is only $5. So, where is it? So it's only $5, and that's for 30 days. After the 30 days, it's $47 a month. I'll zoom in on that. It's 47 a month with no long-term contract. And that includes everything, right? So that includes the weekly coaching calls, the weekly training, the Facebook closed group, the access to the website, the support that we have, which, by the way, our support is pretty awesome. If you ever have any questions, if you're a power agent that wants to rejoin, that you are coming back to us, this is where you would do it. If you click on that, here's how our system works. It's live. It's real human beings. It's not automated. So if you type in a question, everybody in my company, their computers go bling, meaning there's somebody at the front door. That's the front door button. And then we look at your question, everybody on the team, and we decide who is the best person to respond to your question. Like if you have a billing issue, that would go to Gail. If you have another issue, maybe it's Julie or it's going to be Shelly. So whoever's the best person to serve you is the one that will pick up the chat. So we have really, one of our high scores from our members is our customer service is pretty good. Next question.
Beat that for $1.50 a day, right?
Yeah.
Are you reviewing each gift with them at the appointment? So you told them to print out some of the gifts and give that to them at the appointment. Do you review each one or do you just give that to them?
Yeah, that's a great question, Linda. Great question. So Linda, let me go to those gifts. So when you sit down with the buyer, when you first meet them, right, you're going to break the ice and give them some gifts. It's totally up to you how much time you want to spend on any of those gifts, Linda. Like if the buyer, I got to find the other one. If the buyer has children, then maybe you'll actually spend some time on the checklist. Like the other ones, you'll just point out what it is. So you customize that conversation to break the ice. I would listen. Here's what I tell you. I wouldn't give them a closed folder. I would open up the folder, show them what you're giving them, and anything that, Linda, that you just love, then spend a few more minutes on that. Because the whole point of this is not just to give it to them. The whole point is to win their hearts and to thank you for being generous and giving them these tools that will help them. So focus on whatever's most important to you. Okay, next question.
Yeah, Vicky, one of our power agents, she uses that Loanopoly and the Sellopoly. She goes to Amazon and gets the Monopoly pieces and brings that to the appointment. It's a game changer.
Now, I do want to show everybody because I can't believe that I had, it frustrates me. I had the Good Move, and this is the old version of it. So I do want to show everybody this. What I did was I just went into the Power Program website and I typed in the word move because I know that it's called Good Move and it's for buyers. And what showed up was a whole bunch of things that are related to move, right? So here is the Good Move guide. Now I'm going to click on it and it's going to start downloading. And I want to show you something once it's finished downloading. It says it's going to take 2 minutes. It's a really big file. But while it's doing that, I want to show everybody something else. There's wherever there's things that you would give to a civilian, that's what I call buyers and sellers lovingly. I call them civilians. Anything that you would give to a civilian, we've actually not only have the English version, but we have the Spanish version. So we converted, we added that because there are some power agents that was important to them. So everything on the site that's civilian related that you would give out, whether it's a letter or a flyer, have that. All right, let's go to the questions. This Good Move is still downloading. Next question.
Okay. Susan is planning to move out of state. I'd like to be a broker in my new state. Would you have any recommendations on how to infiltrate a new local area in a new state and get up and running? How can I promote myself? We actually just covered that on yesterday's coaching call.
Yeah. So Suzanne, what I would do, my first thing is I would tell you is to learn your area. That's number one. That's the most important thing. So go to a lot of open houses, look at a lot of things that sold. You need to get like your sea legs, right? That's the expression, to get comfortable in knowing the community. The other thing is find the closed Facebook group for that community that you're in. And there may be more than one. Join those communities. Listen to what's happening. So you first want to learn. That's my biggest tip for you is to do that. Now, there's other things that we have in the Power Program website for you to help you get reacclimated and do it, but that's the main thing I'll just cover right now. This is the new version of the Good Move, and you can tell it's really beautiful. It's still 8 things, but we upgraded the whole look. And what I want to show power agents, everything is customizable. Do you see this pack of treasure box? let's say that there's something in this that you don't like. Look what I'm doing here. You can delete that. You can edit it. So here you put your contact information. So we make everything, even if you don't like the 4 that we gave you, come up with another 4. So we make it so easy for you to customize and take ownership in these things. And the last page is going to be your contact information as well. So if I can get to the last page, oh, I didn't realize there were that many pages that we added. So, so it now turned into a 15-page workbook, and this is where you put your photo and your contact information. I'll tell you, gang, I'm very proud of this because there's really great. The reason why I'm proud of this is because it really helps children. There's really great content in there that makes a difference in children's lives. So that makes my heart smile. Next question, Julie.
And you know, guys, you can use this, repurpose this content however you want. We've got a lot of our power agents copy some of that content, put it on their blog. They use pieces of it at a time on their social media. I mean, we have social media for you as well, but all of this content is written for you. It makes you look like a pro, makes you look like a superstar because you've got all this content and you didn't have to do a thing. It's all done for you.
So just to highlight what Julie just said, so if I copied this, let your children express their feelings. I don't know if I would post that one. That sounds too psychological. But if, let's say, whatever this frame is, I wanted to post this on Facebook, all I had to do was copy and paste it. And then bada bing, let's say I was in Facebook right now. Look, it's a duplicate. I just pasted it. So you can take, there is so much content in the site for you to use in your business in so many different ways, like social media, on your listings, on mailings. It's just absolutely incredible. There's one other thing, and then I'll go to the next question, is I just typed, I want everybody to see, I just typed the word buyer. So anything that's buyer related in the website as well, you can find it by just doing that kind of search. And you'll see that there's 6 pages of buyer content, whether it's how to do a seminar, there's a template flyer, there's 7 rules for playing with buyers, there's social media posts, there's the questions. So the website, one of the comments we got recently from the power agents is that it's so easy to find stuff just from the search technology that we've put into place for you. Next question, Julie.
I love it. Where's the download? I'm trying to print smile stops. I just joined last week and I want to know where to find the smile stops.
Okay, so
welcome, Beth.
Yeah, welcome, Beth. Yes. So here's the thing. The smile stops, Beth, I'll tell you where it is. Smile stops is farming related, right? So if I go to classroom and I go to farming, this is where I will find the smile stops. Now it's also alphabetical, the entire site. So here's some certificates. That's a C. If something is an e-guide, okay, there's the e-guide. Flyers, something's a flyer, and there's a lot of flyers. And then you'll see letters later, which there's a lot of those, a lot of flyers. But the smile stops, so that's an S. Let's see if it's down by the S's. So I'll go down to S.
There's a lot in farming, as you can tell.
And yeah, there's a lot in farming. So the website is being a little slow right now. Okay, so Beth, here's the smile stops. It's the S's. Now, what?
I'm not seeing November. It'll be up in just a minute. It was supposed to be up today already.
Okay, so smile stops. We have one for every month. You should not do every month because that's too much. But we have different versions. We have the monthly ones, and then we have like this. This is my favorite. Where is it? It's this one. Smile stops for every season. January, you can do fortune cookies for a new year. So anyway, there's just one suggestion for each month. That's my favorite flyer to look at. But so there's where the smile stops are. Now pay attention to December because let me just show you this. The December one, because that's so easy. We're coming to that time of year and it's taken a while to open. So I'm going to answer the next question. I'll come back to this when it's done loading. Give me the next question, Julie.
Oh, wonderful. What do you say when buyers say they don't want to pay a commission? That's what's keeping them back from hiring you and being a client.
Yeah. So Jennifer, what you say to a buyer is that in a buyer agency agreement, if let's say Jennifer, you're the buyer, I would say, Jennifer, the buyer agency agreement just is clarifying 2 things, basically, or maybe 3. Number 1 is that you're my client. Number 2, everything that I'm going to do for you and everything that I expect from you. But the third is that you understand how I'm getting paid. So you're not paying out of your pocket. That commission that I get paid as an agent is going to be part of the asking price. There are some scenarios, let's say you wanted a buyer for sale by owner who has not hired a listing agent or realtor. So this agreement says, all right, well, I'll negotiate for you. I'll represent you. And that way I can go talk to the seller on your behalf. And once again, you're not going to pay the commission out of pocket. It'll be worked into the price, which is how real estate is just done. But this is just so you and I are on the same page. And that's what that is. So that's how you would say it, Jennifer. Here's the smile stops for December because they're inexpensive. My favorite one, and they're cute little notes, like an extension cord, love staying connected with great people and clients like you. Happy holidays, right? That's an inexpensive little smile stop. This is my favorite one, which is thank you for helping me wrap up a great year serving you and your friends and family, however you want to word that. And that's the, wrapping paper. So those are just fun little things to do during the holidays. Whisking you a happy holidays. I think Julie was a little drunk.
I get carried away sometimes. But they're fun. Come on.
Okay. So anyway, let's go to the next question.
Marcia says, how do we show the same house to 3 clients at the same time and maintain client fiduciary?
Well, if they're all your client, that's how you do that. You treat them equally. See, when your job as a buyer's agent is let's say if you don't show it to all 3 at the same time, well, then what are you doing? You're giving preferred treatment to one over another. That's not fair. So the fair thing to do is if you have 3 buyers in the same price range and they're all your clients, they all hired you, the fair thing to treat everybody equal is to give everybody equal exposure to the house at the same time. And then whoever writes the offer writes an offer. And if they all write an offer, they should all write the best offer that works for them. In that scenario, you would either A, tell them I can't give you any advice because there's another client that wants it. So the best thing is I'm going to be like Switzerland. I'll be neutral. You should offer whatever's the best price for you. And that's how you go. The other option is some agents will actually ask another agent in the office to help them when it comes to this part of it. So 3 buyers, 3 offers, 2 other agents or 3 agents, and you'd say totally out of it. And you give whichever agent wins, you'll give them, a 10% for writing a contract or however you want to do it. Next question.
Darryl, what time are the coaching calls and how do we go back and see what was said yesterday?
The coaching calls are at 11 o'clock Eastern time and they run 2 hours. We used to call them power hours. I think we still call them power hours, but
they're hours plural now.
Listen, this is how we work in our company. So just like this webinar, we end the call or we end this webinar when everybody is taken care of. So as long as there's questions up on the screen that Julie has to read, then I'm staying on the call. Same thing on our Monday call. So the last Monday call we had was almost 2.5 hours. So now, if you go to this tab, so if you go to Classroom and you go to Coaching Calls, the best thing to do is to email questions in advance. So that red button, if you click on that and you email it to me, I will read your question at the beginning of the call and answer it because then we record it, which then you can listen to later. So there's the recordings. All right, I misspoke. The last call was 2 hours. I thought it was longer, but this was the one that was 2.5 hours. Okay. This over here is you can actually, if you click on this and use Google as your calendar, for example, it'll put it in your calendars, the code and everything. So you'll remember every week that it's coaching call time. So I will tell you, if you look, I don't know if you can see it on the screen, right? But that little black thing says 1 hour, 56 minutes, 2 hours and 8 minutes, 2 hours and 25 minutes. My point is the power agents love the calls. That's why they're so long. They call in and brainstorm. They ask me questions. And anyway, that's it.
And some of you guys are visual, right? So you can also watch this on a live stream on our Facebooks. I know some people prefer the video. Some people like to go back and listen to the coaching call, but it's live streamed on Facebook. So if you like that format, that feel better, we have both for you.
I'll show you when we go to the Facebook page. Oh, yeah, there's something else I have to show you. This is so this is our closed Facebook group, and But what happens is while I'm doing the coaching calls, power agents, by the way, this Invisaware, I highly recommend. I just posted it this morning. I couldn't sleep or something. I found this. So check that out. That's really good. What did I say it was called? Invisaware. Okay. Yeah, not guess two. Check that out. Invisaware. This is Gail. All right. This is the coaching call. So this is how it works. So you can talk to me. It's happening live, but you can also write your comments. You can see 122 comments, and you can do it that way too. So we have a couple of different ways to do the coaching call for you, but I can talk to you. This is happening two-way. Okay. Next question, Julie.
What if a buyer wants to see the home not in order that you want?
What would you say?
You mean geographically, Linda?
Yeah, Linda, I don't understand what that means. So, Linda, what happens is if let's say there's 10 houses to show the buyer, and there's 5 that they pick, you should show the 5 based on your driving distance. I mean, that's how you would show the property. You don't do best and last, and you just show it geographic. Next question.
Perfect. Bonnie says, we were taught as new agents to take the MLS client detail sheet with us and give the potential buyer, give it to them as we're showing the property. What do you think?
Yeah, Bonnie, as I said, I get it, and I disagree with that. You know what? Bonnie, hopefully this will really help you. So last time I was at Disney was a few years ago. I used to go to Disney a lot. I just love Disney. I love hanging out with my son and his mom at the time in that experience. I love Disney. And one of the times that the last time I was there, this is what I saw. There's a park full of people, right? And this is what I saw. And I asked somebody, I said, what are you looking at? They said, oh, there's an app for Disney that tell you the times and where you are and how to get the most value for your money based on the wait times. And what dawned on me is, even though that was cool, what happened is that people were not at Disney, they were in their phone. Like they weren't out experiencing Disney because they were here. And the same is true when you give a buyer a data sheet. This is not the house. This is the house. And I believe this is a distraction. We need the buyers to fall in love with the home in their heart. And we'll go to the head later when we're talking numbers, when we're talking square footage, when we're talking taxes. That's the head, that's later. This is not important if the heart isn't there. So that's my opinion. Next question.
I love that. Celine says, I'm in California. Our association has exclusive and non-exclusive buyer agency, buyer broker agreement. Which is the best fit?
I'm not sure what Celine, what the difference is on exclusive and non-exclusive buyer agency agreement. I would assume that one has the buyer commit to you and the other one they're not committed to you. Hence the term non-exclusive. I want them to be exclusive with you. So that's it. That's the better one. Next question.
I love it. Jackie says, is there such a thing as a seller agency agreement? Not ready to sell, but they want help preparing to sell.
Jackie, that is a great question because that actually came up on our coaching call this Monday.
It did.
I spontaneously created this concept in the call because somebody asked a similar question, that if you've got a homeowner that's fixing up their property, you should have maybe a pre-listing agreement that for you to help them get ready, to coach them, to guide them, to make recommendations, for them to be your client, that they would sign something that's, I don't know anybody that has this, so you'd have to make it up. We don't have one for power agents because I just created the idea on Monday, but it would be basically saying that, Darryl's going to help me in the following items, and then you can have a list of it to help me get ready to sell my house. And because of that, I've hired him to be my exclusive agent, that when we're ready to put the house on the market, that we will then transfer this agreement to a multiple listing agreement for a 6 month or whatever you put in there. So yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think you should do it.
And maybe the new seller checklist, I'm thinking aloud too, that's in the in farming and in the listing agreement, that might be a good foundation for it.
What is it?
It's
Julie?
a checklist. It's a new seller checklist, I believe.
Let's see if I can find it this way. There's going to be a lot of checklists. I don't know if this was a good idea. Hang on. If there's the entering it into new serious sellers quick checklist. So maybe take the listing management. So maybe Julie taking some of these.
Yes, I think take some of those bullet points, right?
And create an agreement from that. Yeah, that's good. So that's good.
Peter says, what would you tell a buyer who is willing to meet for a consultation but says, I'm not signing anything?
Yeah, and Peter, if they say that, that's fine. It's the same. Just ignore that. So, because Peter, what you have to do is if you're just talking to a buyer for the first time, yeah, they're not going to sign anything because they don't know who you are. They don't know if they like you. So what you have to do, Peter, is that's why you do a conversation, a structured conversation, and you inform that whole section about informing you, where you talk about your credentials. You can't expect somebody to validate to hire you if you aren't first shown that you're worth hiring. So that's the same. That's true on a listing appointment. You're not going to call FSBO and say, hey, can you sign 6 months with me? Who are you? I don't know who you are. You want me to commit to signing something for 6 months with you? Who are you? So it's the same. That's just the nature of sales. Of course, they're going to say, I don't want to sign. It doesn't mean anything. You still haven't come in. And you do what I taught you today. Next question.
Yes, as a new agent, how do I find buyers and sellers? I've already exhausted my sphere and people I know, but I have no bites.
Paula, so first of all, Paula, as a new person, our program is not a new agent program, but new agents benefit tremendously from it because there's so much for you that would help answer that question. What I talked about today was, and I'm just going to give you an example. There is, Paula, if you are a new power agent, I just clicked on, I'll tell you where I just clicked, but it's called New Agent Success Starter Kit. In this 30-page guide, there's tips on how to build your business, what you should be doing the next 30 days after you've exhausted your sphere in that. So that's there for you. And there's a lot more. Now I'll give you, for instance, let me click on this and I'm going to open it up. This is just another one. This is just for sellers. What, Julie?
I said this one's my favorite.
Yeah. This one I love because it has the days on the top and over to the left. Here's all the things you can do to generate listing activity. Call 5 past clients. You said you've exhausted that. You don't have clients because you're new. Send out 50 letters, 5 FSBOs, 5 expireds, farming, social media, houses for rent, smile stuff. There is so much for you. So Paula, let me correct you. You have not exhausted everything. There is so much you haven't done yet. And so that's that daily activity track. Then there's the new agent guide that I just told you. Where I got to that is when you're in the classroom, if you go to Darryl's top picks, and here's another place, new agent. So Paul, if you go to new agent, that tab is going to have a lot of great stuff for you along with Darryl's picks. That chart is in there. There's the guide I don't see the guide in here, Julie. The guide is not in here, Julie. The new agent guide is not in the new agent tab. So okay. If we can just fix that.
Yeah.
Okay. But so Paula, let me retract what I said a little bit because it seems like the new agent, there might be some links broken. If you go to Darryl's picks, Paula, that's where you'll find the new agent guide and some of my other favorite stuff. So there's the new agent guide and that chart that I showed you about daily activity chart. So go there. Next question.
Also, new agents and new power agents, go to the onboarding. That's a great way. How do I get started? Not just as a new agent, but a new agent in the power program. The onboarding really sets great boundaries. It sets up great habits. It's so powerful to really get started the right way without feeling overwhelmed and to start seeing results right away.
So what Julie's talking about is if you click on, again, the magic is in Classroom. You always hear me say, go to Classroom because that's where everything is. and it's alphabetical. So Julie said onboarding. When you click on onboarding, there is these modules that we created for you that will help you not just as a new agent, but even experience any new power agent on how to like have a surge of business and get the most out of the program within the first 60 days. And what happens is if I go, I'm just going to jump to module 4 for lead gen. You should do it in order, right? So that's why it's called 4, not 1. But download your calendar for the week and the time and money management. So if I click on that tab, it's going to bring me to the portion of the website that has the chart that it was just referencing, which is in time management. Download the daily activity tracker. That's what I just showed you a moment ago. So if you do this, it'll bring you through this process. And every time you get something, you give yourself a little check, you get points, it gamifies it, you have fun with it. So that's the onboarding that Julie's talking about. Next question, which is from Patty.
How do I join the Facebook group?
So Patty, what you do is when you're a power agent, again, I'm going to classroom. And what is Facebook? It's an F, right? That's the first letter. I'm just trying to show you that everything's alphabetical, right? So if I go down to F for Facebook, when I click on Facebook, it's going to bring me directly to the Power Agent group. Now, if you're not a member, up here, you're going to request to join. It's very important you use the email address that you signed up for the Power program, because that's our ID for you, is your email address. Now, if you forgot and you gave us the wrong one, don't worry, we'll find you anyway. It'll just make it happen quicker for you. So that's how you join the group. Next question.
If a buyer does not sign a buyer rep agreement, should we just stop working with them right away?
Well, Solon, you have to decide if a buyer is not going to sign a buyer agency agreement. What did I say earlier? What is the buyer promising you? They are, let me go to that slide. They are promising you, where is it? I want to say it just the way I wrote. If they won't sign a buyer agency agreement, they are telling you in advance that they are not working exclusively with you, that they have no commitment to you, that you're going to get covered for your work. So you answer that question. Would you work exclusively? Would you be more exclusive for them than they are with you? I wouldn't. So to me personally, I would tell them to then go work with another agent. That's fine. Good luck with your search. And I would take the time I would have wasted with them, and I would do my daily activity tracker, start doing stuff to generate listings, which, by the way, the listing inventory, I did a webinar last week, and I showed how listing inventory is probably going to increase over the next several months. More sellers are going to be coming to the market. Prices have been settling. Like, we're going to see an increase in inventory. And if I were you, I'd want you to be on the forefront and grabbing that market share, not wasting your time with a buyer that isn't committed to you.
Where do we find the slides and the webinars?
Yeah. So if you go to webinars on demand, again, I'm in classroom. If you go to webinars on demand, Power Agents, every weekly webinar is posted here. Now, sometimes we have guest speakers, like we had Robert Zabia talk about risk management. I will tell you, this was some incredible guest speakers we had. Let me just point it out. If there's a face of a person that's not mine, those are guest speakers. So that's just the model that we do. So here is Claudia about the gifts, the key to giving gifts. That was awesome. This one here, how to use the Power Builder CRM. For those of you who need a CRM, we have that for you. But the one that I just wanted to really point out to you is we had Christy talk about how to write intriguing real estate bios and how to write listing descriptions. Where is that one? Where is she? Here it is. Yep. I'm just looking for her face. The 5 mistakes you might be making on your property descriptions. Listen, Power Agents, that was awesome what she said. I mean, it was incredible. You would not think how important that is. You need to watch that one. We did that in March with her. Make sure you check that. It's all webinars in demand, and it's sorted by date. But I'm going to show you something else. If you wanted to, I'm going to teach you a little trick. If I hit Control F, I can search the whole page. Let's say I'm looking for a webinar I did on listings. I just typed in the word list, And here, how to become a fearless listing machine, iBuyers, why they should not list with an iBuyer, how to turn one open house into a stream of listings. Anyway, now if I click on how to become a fearless listing machine, which is what we did last week, Power Agents, there's the recording and there's the slides. So you get a copy of the slides along with the recording. So while you're watching it, you can follow along. You can take your notes. You can pause me because I'll sometimes rattle off dialogue like I did today, and you'll be able to listen to it slower and pause it and all that good stuff.
Awesome. So, and Power Agents, know that we've got a Power Agent exclusive webinar coming up tomorrow. You can find that in your dashboard, upcoming webinars, and you'll see that we've got some exclusive webinars just for you.
So webinar registration, remember everything's alphabetical. This was the one that we did today, creating buyer loyalty. Tomorrow, we have Andrew Russell, who's an incredible mortgage guy. Power Agents that have heard him speak love him. He's so knowledgeable. Andrew does my personal loans on my investment properties, on my houses. So he's our guy. And so he's going to be talking about mortgage. That's tomorrow. How to explain to homeowners why they should list with you. iBuyer beware. This is a rebroadcast of the iBuyer problem that some Power Agents are having. That's going to be next Wednesday. Powerful. Anyway, there's the coaching call as well. There is the onboarding call for Power Agents every Tuesday to get acclimated to the website. So there's that. So, okay, I think that's it. Now, listen, we're going to end this webinar. So what you need to do is as soon as we close this webinar, that little floating bubble there is going to go away. So I know Sarah's probably refreshing it. So please click on that before we end the webinar right now, so that way you don't lose the link. You know, for $5, listen, guests, when you sign up, you're going to get emailed all of those bonuses immediately. So now those bonuses are in the Power Program website for people, where I'm trying to find those bonuses for you. Power Agents, this is in the program for you already, but we make it easy for the new Power Agents because they haven't found their way through the website yet. So we put together this package, and you're going to get all of this emailed to you right away. So please sign up, become a Power Agent today, get to know us, our commitment to our agents. And listen, it's $5. You can't really lose anything for the value you're going to get. And anyway, I appreciate your time being with us. I hope it made a difference. Please stay safe, stay focused, and don't forget to keep smiling. Thanks, everybody.